Hey, it's Romy. Welcome to the channel, Virgo. This is your April 2021 soul story. If you have your sun rising or your moon is in the sign, then this is a general reading, but hopefully we're just going to give you some messages and insights that might be valuable for you as you navigate over the next few weeks. So we're into Aries energy. It's the beginning of a brand new astrological year. You have the energy of the Chariot and you're on the move and everything is charged up, amped up. Now that does mean that there's a sense of productive pressure that I think you're going to be feeling in the first part of the month. I have a sense that there are going to be multiple demands put upon you to decide or to execute or to deliver things by a certain time. And it's really about establishing some firm ground rules and also knowing that you are going to have what it takes to deliver and to get done and to be able to show up in a way that is aligning with what you know you're capable of or what you have committed to for yourself. But it's important that you don't also allow that outside pressure to build up, because then it can get quite chaotic and kind of unruly. And so there might be some times in the first part of April where you almost feel like you're not quite as in control as in fact that you actually are. And there's also an understanding that there are going to be opportunities for you to receive and welcome support to come in. You just need to make sure that you're stopping and pausing for long enough to see where that support is actually available to you. Okay, that's really important. Now, Aries energy, we have Mercury moving into the sign on the 3rd, and we're building up to a new moon on the 11th, which is a fantastic time to launch, to get things going, to put new powerful seeds of intention forward. And I see with the energy of the Chariot that you are quite determined and ambitious in regards to some aspect of what you have going on right now. Now, 8th house, remember, also rules partnerships, marriages, other people's resources. And so there might be big decisions that you're making and movement and progress forward finally after perhaps dealing with some restrictions or setbacks up to this point. There is a reminder, Virgo, that the work that you've already put in is enough, and sometimes we need to almost allow that energy to carry itself forward. Too much pushing and forcing through this month could get really overstimulating and overwhelming. So yes, the Chariot does require that we have that perseverance and that will to succeed, but we also need to temper it a little bit. Now you've got the energy of the Strength coming through, because I just feel for some of you what you do have on your plate, which may well be quite significant, and there being a sense of, I don't know how this is going to work, I don't know how this is going to come together. What we're being shown is it's actually what you've already been through and how it's shaped you is kind of the answer to your question. So it's almost like, how are you going to make it through? Well, you're going to make it through because you've already gotten through this far and you're not going to give up now. And I need you just to remember that, okay? Now on the 12th, we have Juno, the asteroid goddess, wife of Jupiter, who rules the house of marriage, very similar to Venus in her energy, ruling commitment, soulmates, love. Now she's turning retrograde till the 24th of June in Sagittarius, your 4th house. So there may be some bigger discussions taking place closer to home, if it's within a marriage or a significant partnership, or if it's in a work dynamic, it might be specifically related to premises and property. So just look out for that as well. But what we're also looking at through this month of Aries is a tremendous opportunity for you to show yourself how far you've come. And there may still be a sense for some of you that you don't really quite know what's next, and that you're just feeling this huge pull and desire and push to kind of just get going and get moving, but at the same time feeling like, where do I take this? Now, not knowing can be like a really beautiful thing, because it does give us the opportunity to be really present in the energy that surrounds us right now, because there's still more value that we can gain from that. And remember, 8th house is it's the house of rebirth. You know, it's ruled by Scorpio, and there is some sense of a deeper transformation that's coming through and emerging in this first part of April for you, Virgo. 6 of Pentacles show me is that you're getting a really strong balance and a handle on the reciprocal energy exchange by way of connections, by way of resources, by way of your money story, your abundance. But it also indicates to me that there is more support that's going to come in to kind of level the playing field a little bit. So if you feel like you've been going alone or isolated for some time, trying to make something work, drive something forward, and that might be in your relationship or it might be in some other area, then what you're set to see is conversations and the stimulus and the emergence of things that are going to be a little bit more supportive for you. Now, your strength is showing me that there's still a requirement on your part to almost, I want to say, not to rush in. And, like we said, you might be feeling the pressure from others, but there's also this reminder that if you've already been investing heavily into something, we don't need to keep doing more and more and more. Sometimes it takes more strength to actually stand back and let somebody else come to us, or let something emerge by way of opportunity or by way of kind of deliverance. And it is a difficult ask, I think, because you're just going to want to go in and fix it. You're going to want to sort of step forward and say, okay, I'll just do it myself, or I'll just take it on, or I'll finish that for you. So that sort of tendency to just want to wrap it up yourself because you have that need for everything to be put in its right order is going to be strong. And so the productive pressure that we feel through the course of Aries season especially is going to come up in lots of different ways that I think are going to surprise you, but ultimately it's all going to be very, very supportive in helping you to get a grip and handle on something by way of making a more permanent change, okay? Sometimes you need to also remind yourself that you don't always need to know the why. You don't always need to keep digging and digging and digging, because what you're going to do is you're going to start to unearth all sorts of gremlins, all sorts of fear-based thoughts that, if you choose to focus upon them, are just going to gather up in a little bit of a tornado and make something much bigger in your mind than it needs to be. The Nine of Swords is about those fears that we anticipate. It's not necessarily that they have landed, it's the worry of. And, with the energy of the Chariot, feeling to me that at times there's that sense of you not being in control, I think that's what's really driving this 9 coming through for you. There may just be a very strong restlessness as well, so real difficulty in kind of adjusting to the new rhythm. When we changed seasons and that equinox energy came through at the end of March, it also will have indicated to you where there needs to be some changes, perhaps from a work-life balance perspective or a mind, body, soul. And I think there is a really powerful moment of epiphany and awakening that you've had, but there may also be some stress about, how do I take this forward? How do I make this work? And what's the sacrifice or the compromise or the fallout of this? And I think that you are really going to town with yourself at moments through the course of April. And so I want you to go a little bit easier, because not only do you have the strength, not only do you have the experience and the knowledge, but you also have more supportive energy and things coming in that you haven't yet been able to see yet. So I really want to say to you that, the outcome of this is far more positive than what you are expecting or anticipating. However, there's something very valuable that's getting thrown up by way of this 9 of Swords that we need to address, because perhaps it's the same fear that just keeps coming up for you over and over and over again. And it's like, okay, now we need to deal with this. It's a month where our eyes are wide open. We don't have that foggy, hazy energy of retrograde. We've got very powerful, stimulating, awakened, progressive energies by way of the universe that is supporting us. So how can we use that to really say, okay, this isn't a truth. This is something I keep going back over, and yet it never happens. And I would invite you to just reflect on that. How many times have you thought this same fear or had this same thing, and it's just never ever materialized? So it is time to get stronger than the fears that seem to be gripping you in some aspect, okay? So when we move later in the month into the earth sign of Taurus, beautiful, supportive earth energy for you, speaking the same language. We've got Venus moving into the sign of Taurus on the 14th. the sun on the 19th. We also have Vesta, the asteroid goddess, beautiful spiritual priestess, delivering this sense of stillness, of peace, of sacred space, wanting you to connect with your own inner light. And your Seven of Cups for me is bringing through your spiritual strength to help you overcome these limitations, these fears, and any anxiety that might be surfacing as you observe the transition of things. You know, sometimes when we look at things around us, whether they be a relationship or the state of our health or our bank balance or, you know, just what's going on in the collective energy around us, and as the transition happens, everything sort of goes to mush, you know, and the dominoes start falling, and it looks like, how can anything, you know, positive emerge from this? But you're looking at it at the point where it's half finished. And so there's something about Spirit wanting to remind you, Virgo, that make sure your judgments and your observations are not looking at something that has not yet completed its full cycle. And what we want you to understand as we begin the rhythm of a new astrological year is that you also need to be in tune with your own cycle to make sure that you're not going on to someone else's timeline, you know. There's a wonderful opportunity for you to have a fresh start, to kind of take a leadership role, to really take advantage of some of the ways in which you've learned how to value yourself more and more. And as we come into Taurus season and it lights up that 9th house energy, there's choices coming in for you here. Now, you might feel overwhelmed with the choices, you know, because if for a while you felt like there was only one option on the table, or you felt like you maybe didn't even have an option, and all of a sudden the energy and the floodgates are going to start to open up a little bit more. And at the end of the month, we have a whole series of conjunctions happening with Uranus on the 22nd with Venus, the 24th with Mercury, and then the 30th with the Sun. So that last 8 to 10 days are going to be bringing all sorts of unexpected things coming your way. News, information, opportunities, revelations. And it's almost like I feel you just sort of feeling a little bit like bunny in the headlights, like what just happened here? Like I had a whole plan in place, and all of a sudden there's so much more to this than I expected or anticipated. That can be absolutely positive, but it can still derail you a little bit in terms of your thinking. Or you might just get information that comes to light under that Scorpio full moon. And remember, it will bring things to fruition. It will bring a little bit of drama, but it's also an opportunity to act on something. Now, your Five of Pentacles here, and I really want you to focus on this beautiful snowdrop, because what do they represent? You know, they're such beautiful, fragile, pure indications of something that has fought their way through the harshest of conditions to still emerge through this like solid white icy ground. Okay, so you are emerging from what has perhaps felt like a period of internal hardship or external experiences that has really challenged you and taken you to the limit of considering your self-worth, your value, and how things are being mirrored and reflected back to you. And you know, it's interesting that we have the 6 over the 5. So there is a rebalancing that's taking place here. Now, for many of you, this might just directly play out by way of finances, okay? And remember, in the 8th house, it's a wonderful energy to actually get unexpected support coming in. You know, money showing up from unexpected sources and places, or you just getting the green light if you try to apply for anything by way of financial support. So keep that in mind. And again, more choices in what you thought you had. So where you feel like the doors are closing or there's a wall that's being erected in front of you, I promise that Chariot energy, and you can see actually how the horses are veered up. So they're just going to jump up and over. Literally, and you can see they're actually up in the clouds here. So they're taking a higher perspective than the lower frequency that's coming in by some of the fear that's indicated by that 9 of Swords. So you are going to be given what you need by spiritual strength to be able to support you. And remember, through the course of this month, there is profound change that's happening, and change can be uncomfortable, but it can be immensely liberating. So the energy of death, of course, is also ruled by Scorpio and talks about rebirth, talks about transformation, and talks about the ending and the beginning of a new life cycle for you, Virgo. And I really feel that this is a month when something powerful shifts within you about the way that you have been leading your own life, okay? And it's not coming at it from this harsh, judgmental perspective. It's coming from a place of beauty, actually. It's coming from a place of acknowledgement. Look at the quiet serenity that's on the face of the lion here, and actually the almost smile that's coming through on her face here, and this element of strength. Like you've really understood something about you and about the power of the journey that you've been on, and now it's a time to allow that change to take place. Both of the horses that are indicated in the Chariot and the Death are powerful. You know, they're muscular. They are ready to take you forward, and you can put your trust in them. You know, they are going to allow you that sense of freedom from a situation that has felt really heavy and oppressive. So I think this is going to be a wonderful month for feeling like you are dealing with something, breaking free and turning a corner. By way of what has held you back. 9 of Wands, perseverance, just keep going. Just keep going. You know, you have perseverance from the Chariot and the 9. You're almost there. Something is at the point of almost coming together. So if you have felt like this is never going to happen, or where is it? Or I've invested so much in this. So there's something that shifts, and I would say look out for what happens, particularly at the end of the month where we have this series of conjunctions. Interestingly, we also have Pluto going retrograde again in the sign of Capricorn over the next 5 months on the 27th. That's energy that you've already been dealing with, and that was already surfacing for you last year, okay, at the same time. So think about what you were learning by way of the deeper transformational energies. But Uranus bringing some sudden unexpected blessings and surprises that are going to be really interesting. I think there's also the need for you to recognize that you are not the person that needs to take on absolutely everything right now. It just feels you can streamline and prioritize and say there is just one thing that I need to focus on, and I need to clear my plate, and I need to get this thing done. I just feel the overwhelm of having a lot of people coming at you, all wanting a piece of you, all wanting a decision from you, all wanting the movement forward in some area or some aspect is one thing, but how you internalize that and how you choose to deal with it is going to tell you everything about how much you've grown, how you've been working with your own boundaries, what is actually important to you, because you're going to get a really clear vibe by way of your intuition that says, you know what, over and above everything else, this is where I need to focus right now. And it might surprise you what that thing is, Virgo. So pay attention. You know, you might begin the month thinking, this is my main commitment, or this is the promise that I'm making to myself or someone else. And midway through the month, there just might be a little bit of a change that comes in to redirect you somewhere else. So as Mars enters Cancer on the 23rd, just be aware that can bring about a little bit of passive-aggressive energy. It's not the most comfortable placement for Mars, and there is a tendency for a little bit of guilt tripping that comes up with that particular vibe. Remember, Mars is, you know, also the energy that rules agitation, anger, passion, progress, how we move through the world. And you've got the energy of the High Priest coming here, so a little bit of a rigidity and a structure and a sense of like somebody just wanting to get you to commit to something, I feel, and you're just not. You're not quite there. You're not quite there. And I think there's something that you're still going through on the internal that just needs to shift into gear before you're just ready to acknowledge that. There are keys here, and they're important because you're unlocking something, but it's more about what it's unlocking for you, not just now, but in the future. I think you're freeing yourself up from something, and maybe it is a commitment, especially with that 8th house energy. So there could be some major decisions that you're making that say, in order to move forward, I really have to cut this loose, or I have to let go of this, okay? Because with the Death and the High Priest combined, there may be just some real strong emphasis on what you need to allow to come to a natural point of closure. And like we said, sometimes you don't always know what the why is, so you need to define your own closure. If you are waiting for someone or something to give you all the answers, it's only ever going to be from their perspective. There are always two sides, sometimes more, to any given situation. So don't hold yourself back because you're waiting for that. You're waiting for that information before you give yourself permission to be able to move on or to evolve in some level. I think that's really important. Like I said, productive pressure. So even though there is an aspect of some of these energies feeling a little bit intense, I think what you come away from is actually a very, very sacred peace and a very, very clear understanding of what's important to you, the priorities, and what you're going to be doing about it. And I think through the course of April, there is some amazing decisions that are going to formulate within you, and you're going to start to take action on. So let's just see what your oracle card wants to come up with. Replenish. Okay, so she is taking some time out here, and maybe it is just that when you're feeling that external amount of energy swirling around you, and 8th house does want you to go deep dive within the self to really figure things out. There are a lot of people here. It almost does feel like there's a bit of a weariness of battles that have been fought. And again, you've got that 9 of Wands. So if you have just been feeling particularly put upon or experiencing things where you felt like you've just been trying to push water uphill, there is just something about allowing yourself the capacity to just rest, rejuvenate, and take some time out to rebalance your own energy field, okay? So these are flower essence cards. Let's just see what wants to come out for the month of April for you. Genestra, good luck. Isn't that beautiful? And actually, just as I was pulling that, I was just noticing this lovely rainbow in your 7 of Cups. And I think that's what I want to really ensure that you can acknowledge from this reading, Virgo, is that everything that is transpiring and unfolding through the course of April is about putting you in a position which you are actually ready to receive more blessings than you've ever had before. Now I'm just going to pull us an astrological card and see what comes through with that. The reason I say that is because you are dealing and putting to bed so many of the demons and the difficult stories that have kind of held you back and defined you perhaps for a very long time. And you're really letting go. Earth, persistence, patience, and practicality. Beautiful. Well, of course, that fuses with your own earth energy and with Taurus season as it comes through. And we have this gorgeous heart, and it's almost been stripped back, so we're seeing the skeleton of it. So there's something very vulnerable here about exposing the roots of things, getting to the root of things. And again, that 8th house energy is going to do that for you. But remember, when we come into 9th house energy in Taurus, there is a momentous explosion of optimism and opportunity and expansion that's coming for you. A shifting of your own values, and perhaps very unexpectedly because of Uranus and what it's doing in the last few days within April. So I feel like you should feel motivated and inspired by this. And again, the rose is coming in, just denoting something that's exceptionally romantic, helping you to just fall back in love with some aspect of your life, or perhaps somebody else. So even if you do go through the ringer a little bit, or there's a lot of change that's going to take place within certain dynamics, it feels to me that as you are coming out of April and moving into May, there's going to really be a powerful redefining of these connections and this relationship and understanding. And I think that is something that you have been asking for and needing. And so you would look back in hindsight and say, do you know what, I'll take some of the challenge that's been put upon me, because look where it's brought me. Like I said, productive pressure. Okay, so this is a general reading, Virgo. I hope it's going to be supportive for you through this month. If you want to join me for the extended version, we're going to go ahead and pull a couple of cards on a specific question that I might not have answered in the main spread. So just have a think about that for me just now. You can find the link for the extended readings in the description box and the comment section underneath. We speak for about another 20 minutes or so. Readings are $8, and it's just a way to support my work and the channel, and I'm very appreciative of your custom. So let's just take a look in this main reading. We're just going to clarify the energy of the Chariot coming through with the 7 of Wands, just the will to succeed. Ace of Swords, I really like that, very clarifying. Knight of Pentacles, just keep going, Virgo. Strengthen the 8 of Swords. Again, we've got the energy of death. It's just like when these new life cycles begin, they can just feel so upheavaling in our life. And they present us with a series of choices, don't they? Three of Pentacles coming in. I love that energy for you. Okay, so Nine of Swords and the Ten of Cups. Okay, knowing what you want very clearly. Knight of Cups may well be a water sign. Eight of Cups here, Cancer, Scorpio or Pisces. It feels really complex, the whole situation that's unfolding around this for you. It's just not so black and white. You've got fire energy coming in with the Knight of Wands here. King of Cups. Queen of Wands. If it was just about you and one other person, it would be so much more clear cut, but I feel like that isn't the case. Or if it was just you that was able to make the decision and there wasn't lots of other people invested in things, you know, I think that's where things are looking a little more complex, but regardless, we're seeing you emerge victorious from situations. I've got the Tower coming in, the Page of Swords here, Ten of Swords, King of Wands, beautiful. Okay, just going to pull a couple more. We've got the energy of the Star with Replenish, beautiful healing. And we've got the Earth Mother Empress energy with the Earth. That's lovely. Okay, Virgo, I'm going to leave it here. I look forward to joining you on the extended version, and I'm going to wish you beautiful blessings for this month of April, and I'll speak to you again next month. Take good care. Bye for now.